All right. So, in this session, I want to convince you to meditate. Now, I don't know how much you know about meditation, but I've been doing it on and off for probably 7 or 8 years. And it's only until recently that I really understood the the one of the core benefits of meditation. And I've only found this out by piecing together all of the information that I have about how the mind and the body works, and correlating that to what is going on in my life, and reading about biology, neuroscience, spirituality, and all that stuff. And then I was able to piece all of that information together to figure this out. And I haven't really heard anyone really explain it in this way before. It might be out there. It's just that I haven't heard it yet. Is what I'm saying. This idea is probably not new, but like I said, I just haven't heard it before. So before, let me set up some context so that you can understand the reasoning behind the meditation practice that I recommend. So I learned recently that the thoughts that automatically come into your mind, not not the one that you not thinking, okay, just thoughts that just come in and out of your mind. You Something might be bugging you, and just thoughts automatically come in, or you're just sitting there and thinking about nothing, and all of a sudden a thought just pops up. Okay, that is what the brain does. It does this automatically. It generates thoughts because that's what the brain does. I mean, you can do more research here to figure out the underlying cause, but I'm not gonna get into that. Just know that your brain's job is to generate thoughts when you're not actively using it to think. And it generates thoughts based on past memory. Okay, so either you look at something and it triggers a thought, or you're just sitting there doing nothing and it triggers a thought, and the thought is based on what's stored inside your brain, which is your memory. And your emotions does something similar. Your emotions are generated based on your perception of the world, like something in the world outside of yourself, or maybe inside of yourself. If um, you're maybe feeling hungry, and then you're gonna get this emotion like, or feeling like, feeling hungry, I want to go eat, and so emotions are also based on your past memory. And what's the word I'm looking for? It So there's this concept of emotional patterns, and we all have some core emotional patterns. So if you are feeling hungry, that's going to generate some. If you're hungry, you will feel hungry, and that is a natural, what do you call it? A natural. I'm not able to find a word, but it's a natural thing that everybody can relate to, right? And it's not even something that you learn to do. You when you're born, you have that in you already. So it's a generational habit that gets passed on from one generation to the next. It's already in your biology when you're born. You're naturally born with with a set of these emotional patterns that is really there to help you survive. Because if you are hungry, if your body's hungry and you don't feel it, you're probably gonna starve to death. Because how else would you know? How else would you know that you need to eat without this feeling of hunger, right? And so there's those sets of feelings that you're born with, and then there are other sets of emotions that you learn through just living. Those are usually the problematic ones. So, for example, if you're riding your bike, and you're fairly new to this, and then you get into a horrible accident, your mind and body will remember how you felt, what you felt, and what your thoughts were at that moment. And then it might actually, depending on how traumatic that is for you, it will imprint all of those thoughts and those emotional, all of those emotions and feelings, and imprint it inside of your mind and body, so that next time you even just seeing a bike will elicit that emotion. And I'm sure everyone has had this experience before, because it's a very human experience, a really animal experience. So you will collect these things by just living your life. You will collect all of these memories or emotional patterns as you're just living life. And these memories are really there to protect you, because, like in the bike example, you've hurt yourself, and your mind and body is really trying to protect you. It's trying to make you stay away from pain. So it's going to bring up that emotion so that you are you're more alert, so that you can be more careful. Like, there's some dangers here. Your mind and body is remembering that, okay, there's some dangers here, so be very careful because you might die. That's how our mind and body is conditioned. It's conditioned for survival. We're animals, right? So it's conditioned for survival, and so it's trying to warn you. Okay, it's trying to protect you so that you don't die. So what does this have to do with meditation? Well, when your mind and body gets into this habitual thoughts and emotions, most of you won't be aware of it. It just happens. And most of the time you're just gonna follow those thoughts or follow those emotions, and you make the decisions based on that, right? And notice what's going on there. your mind and your body is triggered, and then you make a decision either to go towards whatever it is that you're doing, or you run away from it, or do nothing. So these things are information. The thoughts that come in and out of your head, that is information. The emotions that come up, that's just information. What you choose to do with that information is really up to you, right? You can feel this fear that comes up when you're looking at a bike, and you may decide to not ride the bike. Or you can feel the fear and say, yes, I failed, but I really want to learn how to ride this bike. And so you ride the bike. So what meditation does is, when you're sitting there and you're meditating, thoughts will come in and out, right? And if you've meditated before, you will know this. You're trying to sit there and you're trying to clear your mind, or you're watching your breath, and a thought comes in. And a lot of times you'll follow that thought, and then a couple seconds later you're like, oh shoot, I'm not focusing on my breathing anymore. Bring my mind back and focus on my breathing. And really what's happening is, it's so imagine your body have all of these sense perceptions, right? You have your hearing, your sights, your feeling, what you're sensing on your skin, your hands, your body, and also your thoughts. Your thoughts are also another type of sensory information. Like all of these, your what you see, what you hear is all information that goes into your mind and body, and then with that information you have to decide to do something. Okay, so they're all sensory information. Your thoughts are sensory information. Your emotions are sensory information from the inside. And what's happening is, there's another part of you that is able to focus on each one of these sensory information. And many times your thoughts are sucking away that focus from you just automatically. Also, your emotions are sucking that focus, that concentration away from you, again, automatically. And when you meditate, the thing that you're learning to do is separating that part of you that's able to decide what to focus on. You're separating it from, you're separating that part of you from your vision, your hearing, your thoughts, and your emotion. And when you're able to do that, you're not anymore being automatically drawn into it. Like you have some control. You're really learning about control of where you want to focus your attention. And the reason why this is really important is because of this. We live our life, you know, being pulled, right? You're getting pulled. Your focus and your attention is being pulled by all these different sensations, and most often the strongest pull is from your thoughts and your emotions. And so imagine when you're getting angry by something triggered you. You're not recognizing anymore that separation. You're really fully focused on that emotion that you're feeling, that anger. And then what's going to happen is you're going to make some decisions based on that anger, because you're totally drawn into that anger. And then that anger is going to generate thoughts, negative thoughts, and then the negative thoughts is going to feed your anger, and your anger is going to feed the thoughts, and you're going to get really drawn in, and you're not recognizing anymore that there's a separate part of you that can take in that information and then to make a decision of what to do. You already lost that separation. So now you're being drawn in, and your thoughts and emotions are going to make the decision, and then you're going to take action on what to do with it. And most of the time, it's not going to be a good outcome, because you're not going to make a decision based on good reasoning, good logic, because you've already disengaged that part of you that is going to the part of your brain that is going to think through things or think logically about things very well. You're going, the part of your brain that is engaged is going to be the habitual side, because your emotions are triggering a lot of these, you know, negative emotions, and when that happens, you're going to want to protect yourself, or you're going to want to fight. Your whole body is triggered. Your whole body is angry, and when you're angry, you're or scared, you're gonna wanna either fight, flight, or freeze. So that thinking part of your brain that does all the reasoning and logic is not engaged anymore. You're in fight, flight, or freeze mode. And so normally, you know, if you see a predator, that's the right approach. Like, you have to either defend yourself or run the hell away, or, you know, fake your death, you know. But oftentimes, living in you know, this living with people are gonna trigger you and get you angry, say something that make you upset. And if you're in the fight or flight mode and you're not able to disengage, you're gonna say something hurtful, or you might even fight them if you're so angry. And that's going to just create more negativity, right? And you're probably not gonna feel good about yourself after that. So really, meditation is for you to practice having that separation. When you have that separation, you're able to be aware of all of this sensory information. Your thoughts are just a sensory information. Your emotions are just sensory information. And you're practicing being able to separate that. You're practicing watching that as sensory information, and not something that totally sucks your focus And when you're able to fully do that, you'll be able to be present no, no matter what happens. Well, almost no matter what happens. If you know you if you're on a hike and there's a rattlesnake right in front of you, your body is going to react very instantaneously, and you don't even need to do anything to make that happen. Your body is trained to do that automatically. But most of the time, we're just interacting with people and with ourselves. And when we're doing that, a lot of times we'll get triggered. And we don't want to react negatively. We want to react consciously. But when you're getting sucked into those thoughts and emotions, you're not acting consciously. You're actually acting subconsciously, because these thoughts and emotions are, like I said, habits, and these habits will spin additional thoughts and emotions, and that's what you're going to use to make a decision. And that means you're reacting subconsciously. But when you're able to separate yourself and see all of these these sensors as just information, then you're able to, really separate yourself from this body of yours and be able to make a decision based on this information. That's reacting consciously. And when you're able to do that, that's going to really change your life, because you're now able to take a step back, like, really inside your head, you're able to take a step back from all these sensory information and actually observe what your body is doing, what your body and your mind is doing. You're able to take a step back and observe that. Then you're able to judge yourself and be like, oh, was that the best approach? Or could I have done something else? And you wouldn't be able to do that if you're doing things subconsciously. Well, maybe you would be able to after, let's say, an hour or so, right? But if you train yourself to watch yourself in the moment, so the better you get at this, at meditating, at bringing your thoughts back and your emotions back, you'll be able to catch yourself in the moment while you're doing something, rather than catching yourself hours later and be like, oh, I shouldn't have behaved like that. I should have done all these other things instead. If you didn't train yourself, you wouldn't be able to do that, because you're already getting sucked into your thoughts and emotions, and then you're behaving subconsciously. You're not conscious anymore when you're getting sucked in. You're behaving subconsciously. And like I said, if you keep meditating and you train yourself to catch yourself sooner and sooner and sooner, then you'll be able to, when you're really in the moment, where someone triggers something in you, you're not going to react right away. You're going to be able to take in all the information and still engage that reasoning, that logical part of your brain that can still that can think, and then you'll be able to decide what's the best approach, what's the best decision, what's the best action to take, given all of this information that I have before me. That is when you're able to wake up and live your life fully awake. When you're able to do that, your life will get so much better. because you're not anymore sleepwalking through your life. That is why you should meditate. And each time you notice your mind wandering and you bring it back, that's one repetition. The act of noticing and bringing your attention back and controlling where you want to focus, that's one repetition. It's the same as if you're at the gym and you're doing some curls and you do one repetition. Your arm is not gonna get you're not gonna notice the strength of your arm right away by just one repetition, right? You have to do many of them. And as you keep on training that arm, you're going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. So this is why you need to meditate, so that your mind learn how to focus better on what it needs to focus on, so that you don't get sucked away by any of the sensory information if you don't want it to, right? Now, some of you might be like, oh, what if I'm watching a good movie and I do want to get sucked in? Choose to get sucked in. Enjoy that movie. Enjoy that movie fully. But in cases where you do need, you do need your brain to be fully engaged to make a decision on what to do because it will affect your life, that's when you need your focus. That's when you need to be able to control your attention. Otherwise, it's just gonna get sucked out of you. So that's why you need to meditate.